12 ways to entertain your guests that do not involve dancing at all whatsoever from a professional wedding planner who's been doing this for years and years. These are some of my favorites. Couple things I want you to focus on. If you are here trying to figure out how to entertain your guests, you want to think about how many people do you want this to entertain? How much time do you want this to consume? And how much are you willing to spend, either of your time or of your money, to pull this off? All right? So sit down, jot some notes. Here we go. Starting off with a bang. Hear me out. Karaoke. It's okay. It's not for everybody. The amount of people that are entertained by karaoke is positively obscene. Because whether you're good or you're not good, you can entertain a large swath of people. Swath is a word. I don't know if it's used appropriately in this context, but we're going to run with it, right? Right. This is a pass-fail situation for a lot of people where they're like, absolutely, I'll totally do that. That sounds hilarious. It'll entertain everybody. And then the other half that are like, absolutely, I will not be doing that. That sounds like a fail. And I do not feel like subjecting myself or all of my people to singing skills of my other people, so this is a hard pass. If you've ever been to a karaoke bar, once the alcohol gets a little bit flowing, or even without it, there are just some people who are naturally super inclined to want to get up on stage and belt out some Melton and make people enjoy their evening just a little bit more. Hate it or love it, it is really good, inexpensive entertainment. Not a lot of money goes into it, a little bit of effort for setup, maybe a karaoke machine, but then the entertainment kind of just pays for itself, because the guests are doing it for you. Option number 2, murder mystery game. I have always wanted a couple to do this very specifically. And I don't know what it is about this particular idea that gets me really jazzed. Maybe because they'll invite me to help them plan it, or maybe because I just get to witness this happening. But if everyone is given a character and then they show up and instead of having a murder mystery dinner party, you're having a murder mystery wedding party, not just wedding party, but wedding party, the amount of people that would be so wildly entertained by this is unimaginable. It'd be really hard to pull off with a very large group, but it'd be very cheap to pull off because there's not a lot that needs to go into this necessarily. People don't have to show up in costume, right? It just you can kind of still go with a theme, go with the vibe, give people their instructions beforehand. It just requires a lot of your time, and it requires that you do a lot of planning beforehand to pull this off. But if you want a memorable event that people are going to be talking about for years and years and years to come, a well-done murder mystery really gets the people going, Just so good. I can't imagine that this would work for anything above 50 people, though. So keep that in mind. But I've also never planned a murder mystery party. Maybe that's why I still think it sounds fun, because I've never done anything like it. So take it all with a grain of salt. Option number 3 would be paper games. This is a terrible title, but the concepts are good. And those can be, but are not limited to, paper that people can hold on to. It could be trivia that they're either writing down on a piece of paper, or you could go full out, trivia night at a bar if you've ever been to one of those. I think I've only been to one once, but it was super fun. People love winning, especially with their tables. They get competitive and super into it. That's a little bit more than paper, but you get what I'm saying. More fun things like word search or crossword puzzles. If they're individually printed out and put at people's seats, then everyone gets an opportunity to do them. But it's a lot more fun if it's based on you two as a couple, or your history, or how you met each other, etc. Because then those who know you the best can rub it in everyone else's faces. Look how well I know them. Option number 4 is super sweet and entertains basically everybody at once and kind of turns it into something that could be a little bit more thematic, and that is an outdoor movie night. It does require some pretty heavy tech equipment on the front end and setup and someone to help monitor that, but if you can get everybody to bring a lawn chair and you have a popcorn bar set up, which we will get to food bars in just a second because food is fantastic, this could be such a fun and entertaining way for people to spend their evening, especially if it is a great crowd pleaser. Now, some people may not want to show up to a wedding and sit and watch a movie the entire time. So you have to gauge your crowd, as with all of these. I don't know your people. I don't know what you're like. I don't know what you want out of this event. I'm just a random lady on the internet tossing out ideas. So filter it through whatever works best for you. But you could have a movie section, potentially where parents go plop their kids down for a little bit of mommy time. Or something that can entertain people for an extended period of time. Or pick more of an adult-friendly option, but then you may not want to have a bunch of kids at the event. If you're playing Die Hard, might be a bit much. How many options did I say? Did I say 12? I think there's 13. You'll know from the title. It's fine. Number 5, a DIY fill-in-the-blank bar. Do you know how much people love interactive food and or beverages? when they have the power of putting together their own food at an event. I always find this to be super, super funny that like people love going to an event and then putting together their own mashed potatoes, like at a mashed potato bar. They're like, oh my goodness, look at this, when it's something they could do at home, but they're so used to being served food at an event that to have a hand in it or to play in like a salad bar or a baked potato bar, because I'm really apparently on a potato kick, or mac and cheese. My mouth is going to start watering soon. You could also do late night bites. You could do a cereal bar. Oh my goodness, could you imagine? With like the little milk bottles, and you could offer the different types of milk for those that prefer different types of milk or need those because of dietary restrictions, but then they could just like, they've been hanging out all day. They're a little peckish at like 10 p.m. and they're ready for a little sugary pick-me-up. And you have a cereal bar, you stop it right now. If your venue allows it, you could also do like a mix your own drink bar or a mimosa bar. S'mores are a super fun option. And hot chocolate bars are a huge hit during the cold season as well. Now for this one particularly, obviously there's some temperature issues that you'll need to, if it's hot food or cold food, you'll need to keep them kept accordingly. And it can only entertain a certain amount of people during a portion of time, but it can permanently be there throughout the night as long as the temperatures are maintained and entertain all of your guests as they cycle through going over to visit it. Which segues perfectly into number 6, which is a DIY favor bar. I have been very outspoken about how much I'm not a big fan of favors, okay? Because they all get left behind or forgotten, which is the opposite of Ohana. I don't Okay. So often couples put so much time and money and effort into putting together these sweet, cute little favors, and then a bunch of people leave them behind, like little succulents or chocolate bars or what have you. If you do an interactive favor bar instead, ideally with some edible elements to it, and I mean edible as in like just something you can eat, just so we're all on the same page here of what we're talking about, just the actual like food. And that could be a trail mix bar. That could be a popcorn bar. That could be a candy bar. It could be a decorate your own cupcake station, or if you're getting married around the holiday season, it could be cookies, sugar cookies, gingerbread cookies, what have you. A place where guests can sit down, have fun, interact, and create a favor for them to take home with themselves later. Idea or option number 7 would be board games. You guys! Why does this one get me so pumped? Only, I think 1 or 2 of our couples have done this, but the amount of excitement that the crowd got from having the option to like play Battleship or whatever sort of board games they set out was so, they were so cute. They were so excited. The kids literally like ran to it. Of course, you're going to kind of have to keep in mind if these are like board games from your home, pieces could go missing, right? Like that would be a kind of a bit of a bummer if you're big board game people and then you go to play Sorry and all of your little tiny pegs are missing because Johnny Smith decided to borrow them and use them over the cupcake table. Sort of unfortunate, right? We're going to have to anticipate maybe a couple of pieces might get lost somewhere along the way. But those who have an opportunity to play with these board games are going to absolutely stinking love it. This can entertain a small group of people or a large one depending on how many board games you bring. It can be relatively inexpensive if you already own them, but pretty expensive if you don't. You could also borrow in a situation like this, but again, you want to make sure that you're pretty mindful of the pieces coming back if you're borrowing these from family members or friends, but can be a very big crowd pleaser. And it doesn't have to be board games specifically either. You could do Lego. That is extremely entertaining for children and adults alike. I don't know what it is. It's like zen and kind of cathartic. It's amazing. Idea number 8 requires a lot of work on the front end of things, but can be extremely entertaining when it comes to the actual event, and that is a scavenger hunt. Now, you can take this in a couple of directions. You can keep it really simple and just have a scavenger hunt, maybe treat it like a bingo style, where someone can kind of fill it out throughout the entirety of the evening as they're hunting for these things at your event. Or you can turn it into a photo scavenger hunt where your guests are encouraged to take pictures of what they see, post them to social media, maybe post them to their stories, to their feed, whatever you prefer here, maybe using a hashtag. I hear those are on their way out, but if you're a cake like me, apparently, then you could use those as well. But encouraging them to be interactive and also conveniently getting more photos of your event for you to soak up the day afterwards, because sometimes it's so hard to wait for your photography, right? Like so hard to wait weeks and weeks and weeks for those professional photos to come back. So having cute little scavenger hunt photos to look over for the next week or so after your event is really, really, really precious. Or you can make it a lot more aggressive and full on, like an egg scavenger hunt, where they're like actively getting up and looking for something. People might be a little bit less inclined to get down and dirty when they are wearing fancy clothes, though, so that might be something to keep in mind. Again, remember, you know your crowd way better than I do. Idea number 9 is to hire a professional for some sort of guided tutorial situation. Don't call it a tutorial to your guests, though, because they're not going to think that sounds spicy. Instead, you could just miraculously have an artist there with a bunch of canvases and then walk people through a guided paint night where everyone can go home with something that they have painted. Sip and paint, is that what those are called? You know the thing that I'm talking about, where you pay like $75 and go home with something that looks like a kindergartner made it, but at least you got to drink wine while you were doing it with your friends. You could do that at your wedding. But it doesn't have to be limited to that either. You can hire a sommelier and have like wine tasting and pairings. You can hire a mixologist to teach people how to make their own drinks. Also, bringing in a dance instructor is a huge hit. I spoke to a DJ recently. His name is Uwo. He's based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He actually has an online program that teaches you how to do your first dance. I'll go ahead and toss that in the description box if you want to go take a peek at it, because if y'all are struggling, he is the perfect guy to walk you through all the steps that you can put together, and it's guaranteed to work. He's worked with hundreds of couples. It's incredible. I love that he's turned it into a course. Love that for him. Love that for us. But bringing someone in to teach line dancing or the salsa or some sort of fun dance moves can be a great way of entertaining people, but that is dancing. Wait, should we call this? That one's a non-traditional idea. The whole premise of this is not dancing. Sorry, guys. That one snuck out. If you want to take things a step further than that, you can hire a professional entertainer solely for the sake of entertainment. That can be, but is not limited to, dancers is on my list here to put on a performance. But if you don't want to do dancing, then that would be weird to only pay people to dance and not let your guests dance. So take that with a grain of salt, or hire dancers or don't. I'm just a strange lady on the internet making lists about weddings. Or something super fun like a stand-up comedian. Are you kidding me? I have mentioned this in videos before. I want someone to hire a stand-up comedian for their reception so bad. So bad. I think it's super funny. I think it's extremely entertaining. I think it's totally non-traditional. And I think your guests would rave about it for years and years to come. And I want someone to do it, and I want them to film it, and I want them to post it on Instagram and tag me in it, or send it to me or something. Like, I need video proof that this has happened in someone's life, or invite me to it. Thank you. And the next two are pretty common, but hey, they are not dancing and they deserve to make it onto this list. Idea number 11 is a photo booth. Before you flip out on me, photo booths are overdone and overrated. Listen, we just did an event couple months ago where we brought in like our photo booth. My husband and I own one. This is literally the first event we've used it on. I don't want to talk about it. It's fine. We've owned it for so long. We finally used it. But how heartwarming it was to see group after group after group go back for photos. It wasn't even printed. It was just something that like created a digital photo and they could send it to themselves and like post it later. It was super cute to watch these groups go together, and then we got to see the gallery afterwards, and like so many people used it. So many people used it. This is a good passive form of entertainment that can keep people occupied, but it's really a sweet treat for them to be able to take some of those photos back with them and just be able to express themselves, because maybe they're looking fly and maybe they want to have photo evidence of it, and maybe their husband never takes photos of them, and this is the only opportunity that they're going to have to prove that they existed in the world, because no one ever takes pictures of them. And this is not me unloading my marital distress on you guys. Never. I would never do that. That would be inappropriate and unprofessional to do here on this channel. But photo booths are crowd pleasers. Idea number 12, lawn games. Very much in the same manner that the photo booth can please a small amount of people but over extended period of time. Same thing with the lawn games. If you have cornhole, giant Jenga, giant checkers, giant Connect Four, giant whatever have you, archery, darts, horseshoe, just either throwing things or a giant form of a board game are very entertaining and people can really enjoy them. But it only entertains a small group of people. And if they camp out there, they could be there for an extended period of time. That means it's not entertaining the masses. However, it can be used in conjunction with other items or just as an extra little bonus thing, much like the photo booth is, that people can experience throughout the entirety of the evening. And then lastly, This one's my personal favorite, but oftentimes can come with a bigger price tag attached to it. Choose a venue that does it for you. Just simplify it. If you are real big into not dancing because either you're introverted or you just don't feel like shaking your tail feather, this is just not your vibe, it's not what you guys are into, picking a venue that offers some sort of built-in entertainment is absolutely genius. Because one, you get yourself out of dancing, and two, you entertain people because inherently it's already built in right there. That could include, but is not limited to, the following. Bear in mind, you might hate some of these ideas, but they might resonate with somebody else. I would not do probably half of these, but some of them might get people pretty excited. So I'm just here to share ideas. Number one, ice skating. Super fun, gotta be in the right environment, but a lot of people do enjoy it. And then combine it with a hot cocoa bar. How fun would that be? Okay, see, now we're like layering for like a really fun experience. Incredible. Option number two, pool party. Works for some people, not for others. Totally fine. Option number three would be bowling. Limited amount of people because you're limited to however many lanes you've got. But hey, we're entertaining a large group of people. We're doing something unique and it's not dancing. We're booking out something like a carnival or something of that nature where it can be interactive, or you can take people to go on rides or carnival games, or something as simple and as elegant as a museum, where your guests are encouraged to walk around and take in the general splendor of the evening, the architecture, and the artwork as well. I know that planning a wedding without dancing can feel really, really daunting and really scary because you feel like, if I don't offer dancing, everyone's gonna leave. I can tell you with full assurity, we've had multiple events with no dancing whatsoever, and my favorite part was the amount of conversations that people were able to have. So often at events, it can be go, 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 both for you as the couple and for your guests. So by providing pockets of time where people can just mingle and have conversations, you'll be surprised by how often they are really, really happy to simply entertain themselves. Don't feel the need to overmanage or throw too much money or time at this to make sure it's the best experience of the guests' lives. Because sometimes just creating an avenue for really good conversation with beautiful lighting and a decent bottle of wine is all the soul needs to call it a great night. So that's what we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you would like to delve into this further or maybe look through some pins, we do have a full entire Pinterest board on non-traditional wedding entertainment ideas that we have linked in the description box below. I highly encourage you go check that out, spend some time, look over some of it, save it to your Pinterest board because I know spitting it out in a video is helpful to get the mind going, but sometimes you might need a place to save that as well. If you like the video, jump on down there, hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the